Hi guys, following the vicious attack that took place in Huntingdon on Saturday, it's important to remember the train worker who put his life on the line to protect other rail workers and the travelling public. He's currently in a critical condition in hospital, so our thoughts are with him and his family. Now, I want to show you two clips here, one of some commentators responding to this, and also a politician from about a year ago. Have a listen.
Horrifying accounts we've heard over the last 24 hours.
Look, I think people underestimate how much of a hero, how brave you need to be not to run away with someone with a knife in front of you. Especially, he's not going to be a high-paid worker, this guy. And if you've possibly saved lives from your action, this man needs a medal of some sort. And I would hope that hopefully he pulls through, that some sort of GoFundMe could be set up and this man could be given a lot of money to make his life a lot easier, because the easiest thing to do in this situation would be to run away. And if you haven't, you are a hero, and I can't praise him enough.
Ellie, I think in situations like this, we need to be giving out medals. I really do. These people, this man...
Okay. You mentioned here, now I don't know if this was a train, somebody working in the station. I don't know if this was a train driver. I don't know what the occupation of this individual was who put his life on the line here. But the solution cannot be a medal. The solution cannot be a GoFundMe. Because this is what the Tories, Robert Jenrick, was saying just about a year ago, last August, I believe.
Last week, Labour agreed a 14% pay rise with ASLEF, the train drivers' union. This deal gave the train drivers everything they wanted. It got nothing from them in return. 2 days later, the same union announced a 3-month-long strike on the entire East Coast Main Line, the trains from King's Cross to Edinburgh. So let's get this straight. Labour, who are claiming there's no money and that they have to hike your taxes, gave a £10,000 pay rise to train drivers. So the average train driver will be on £69,000 a year for 4 days a week work. They get no reforms from the train drivers for the deal. So all the archaic working practices will continue. The unions realised Labour are such amateurs, they banked everything they were asking for and then demanded more. But the bigger issue is this. Labour have now sent a giant signal to every union in this country. We will pay whatever you want, and the taxpayer will always pick up the bill. Labour don't negotiate, they capitulate.
Okay, so once again, this clip here from Robert Jenrick is about a year ago. But the message from the Tories is always, we need to be tough with the unions. What the Conservatives were doing when they were in charge was they wanted to reduce the number of workers in the train stations. Now, once again, I don't know if this was a driver or if it was somebody working in the station or it was a guard or whatever. But if you reduce the staff, if there were fewer staff working that day, what do you think would have happened? If this man who put his life on the line was not employed, what do you think would have happened? We know what would have happened. The Conservatives picked fights with the trade unions. They wanted to act tough. They said, we don't need all these train drivers. We don't need all these train workers. We don't need all this security. Let's downsize. If they had got their way, and kudos to Mick Lynch and others for standing up to them at the time, we could have seen a significantly worse situation. That's why it's so important that you have sufficient staff, you have sufficient police, you have sufficient resources to save lives. This is what Mick Lynch was talking about when he was doing those select committees. If you don't have enough people, you're going to have situations like this. But you notice the response from the right-wing media is, let's have a GoFundMe, let's give this guy a medal. Never, let's pay these people more wages, let's hire more staff. Their response will be reactive, never proactive. Let's stop it from happening in the first place. Let's look at why people are engaging in knife crime. Let's look at why train stations are not safe. Let's invest in that. No, it's more, let's just react like, let's engage more in stop and search, or let's have bans on knives or stuff like that, instead of actually looking at, okay, how do we stop knife crime? And when it comes to trains and train stations, let's invest sufficiently. No, because that would involve higher taxes. And the right wing don't want to pay more in taxes. They will cry their crocodile tears about, and pretend to care by, let's have a medal for this guy. A medal. This guy could be probably on minimum wage. Do you think a medal is going to improve his life? Do you think he did this for a medal? What would be better for him and his family? A medal or a pay increase? A decent standard of living? That's what they would care about. That's what his trade union would care about. This pathetic, I'm sorry, but it's pathetic, let's throw somebody a piece of metal so that we can shut them up and shut up the public for a day and then move back to business as usual and business as usual. And I can guarantee you, the next time there is a train strike, the next time train operators ask for more pay and conditions, the very same people, be it on GB News or Robert Jenrick, will be saying, no, these people are entitled. We need to have driverless trains. We need to have fewer staff. We need to have fewer police officers in trains. It's too expensive. That's their response. But it's when something like this happens, let's give people a medal. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.